The red clay of Roland Garros has seen emperors rise and dynasties collapse. It has witnessed the elegance of champions and the heartbreak of those who arrived in Paris believing they were ready for greatness, only to discover that Court Philippe Chatrier does not care about belief. It only cares about survival. And on the afternoon of May 26, 2026, survival took on a completely different meaning, because nobody inside that stadium was prepared for what they were about to witness. Not the commentators speaking in polished television voices about tactics and rankings. Not the photographers crouched near the baselines, waiting for predictable moments of celebration. Not the tournament officials seated high above the court in carefully tailored suits. And certainly not the 15,000 fans packed into the most iconic arena in tennis, many of whom had traveled across oceans believing they were attending a tennis match when, in reality, they were walking into the center of a global phenomenon. The atmosphere around Court Philippe Chatrier felt different long before Alex Eala even stepped onto the clay. Paris itself seemed aware that something unusual was happening. Outside the gates of Roland Garros, the streets were flooded with Philippine flags. Entire families wore matching shirts bearing Alex Eala's initials. Vendors who normally sold generic French Open merchandise had begun stocking unofficial Laban Alex banners because demand had exploded beyond anything they had anticipated. The security lines stretched for blocks. Fans sang while they waited. Tourists who had no idea who Alex Eala was asked strangers why everyone seemed so emotional before a second-round match. And every answer sounded almost identical. She makes us feel seen. That was the strange thing about the Eala effect. It never behaved like ordinary sports fandom. This wasn't simply support. It was identification. Somewhere between Manila and Madrid, between Melbourne and Paris, Alex Eala had stopped becoming just a tennis player and started becoming something far more difficult to explain. A symbol. Not because she tried to be one, but because millions of people decided she already was. Inside the stadium, the noise built slowly, layer by layer. A chant here, a flag there, a cluster of OFWs in the upper deck singing in Tagalog, a grandmother from Quezon City clutching rosary beads beside a teenage engineering student from Toronto wearing a Filipino flag around his shoulders like a cape. The crowd wasn't uniform. It was global. And yet somehow, it moved together like a single organism. At 3:15 p.m. the tunnel doors opened. Alex Eala emerged onto the clay. The roar that followed did not sound like applause. It sounded like release. Like thousands of people exhaling emotion they had carried for years. Eala paused for half a second near the baseline and looked around the stadium. The flags. The noise. The impossible scale of it. 20 years old. Still learning how to navigate pressure, most athletes spend entire careers trying to survive. And now carrying the emotional weight of an entire diaspora every time she stepped onto a court. But if she felt overwhelmed, she did not show it. That had become one of the most unsettling parts of her rise. The stillness. Other young players rushed. They bounced nervously. They fidgeted. They burned energy trying to outrun pressure. Alex Eala absorbed pressure differently. She slowed down inside it. And that calmness made people believe impossible things about her. Her opponent entered moments later to respectful applause. But the atmosphere had already tilted permanently toward one side of the court. The commentators noticed it immediately. "This feels less like a tennis match," one of them said quietly, "and more like a national event." Then something happened that shifted the energy from extraordinary into surreal. A ripple began moving through the lower rows near the front section. At first, nobody understood why. Heads turned. Phones lifted into the air. Security personnel suddenly changed posture. And then the cameras found him. Elon Musk. No announcement. No introduction. No ceremonial entrance. The richest man in the world had simply walked into Court Philippe Chatrier wearing a black jacket, sunglasses, and an expression that looked almost amused by the chaos erupting around him. The crowd exploded again. Not because Musk was a celebrity. Paris was used to celebrities. Roland Garros hosted royalty, movie stars, presidents, billionaires. But this felt different because nobody understood why he was there. The commentators stumbled over their words. Is that? Yes, I believe that's Elon Musk. Well, this is unexpected. The cameras cut repeatedly between Musk and Alex Eala. Eala glanced toward the front row briefly, then looked away, returning her attention to the baseline. But something about the moment felt cinematic in a way sports rarely do. Two people from completely different worlds. One had built rockets and electric cars. The other had grown up fighting for recognition in a sport that barely noticed the Philippines before she arrived. And somehow both of them had ended up inside the same moment on a clay court in Paris. The match began. Immediately, Eala looked sharp. Her movement carried urgency. Her forehand had depth. Her serve placement forced uncomfortable returns. The first few games unfolded with the kind of intensity that makes crowds lean forward without realizing they have moved. Then came the changeover. And the moment everything transformed. Musk stood up. At first, fans assumed he was leaving. Instead, he reached into a large black duffel bag beside his seat. He pulled out shirts. Custom black shirts. On the front, Alex Eala's AE logo. On the back, the Philippine flag and one word in bold white lettering. Laban. The cameras zoomed in instantly. The stadium buzzed with confusion. Then Musk started handing them directly to fans. No branding. No Tesla logos. No SpaceX promotion. No advertisements. Just shirts. Here, he said to one stunned fan near the front row. These are for you. The woman receiving the shirt burst into tears before she even unfolded it. Another fan screamed. Then another. Within seconds, the entire lower bowl erupted into chaos. People reached out. Security guards looked utterly unprepared for what was happening. Tournament officials stared at each other in disbelief. And Elon Musk, the billionaire associated with rockets, AI, satellites, electric vehicles, and endless controversy, stood inside the most elegant stadium in tennis, casually distributing Alex Eala merchandise like an excited fan at a concert. The absurdity of it made the moment feel unreal. But it was real. Painfully, overwhelmingly real. Within minutes, the shirts spread through the stadium. Fans passed them upward row by row. Some people put them on immediately over dresses, jackets, jerseys, even formal clothing. The visual effect was astonishing. Sections of Chatria transformed into synchronized waves of black shirts and Philippine flags. The crowd no longer looked like tennis spectators. They looked like a movement. The commentators abandoned analysis completely. I've covered this tournament for 20 years, one said. I have never seen anything remotely like this. And on court, Alex Eala began playing the best tennis of her life. Whether it was adrenaline, emotion, disbelief, or something impossible to quantify, the energy shifted violently in her favor. She broke serve. The stadium detonated. She held to love. The chants intensified. Laban Alex. Laban Alex. Laban Alex. The sound rolled across the clay like thunder. Her opponent, experienced and battle-tested, looked increasingly rattled. Not because of the tennis alone. Because of the atmosphere. Because every point now felt tied to something larger than sport. And because the entire stadium appeared emotionally invested in Alex Eala surviving. At 4-2 in the opening set, Musk returned to the edge of the court during another changeover. This time he carried a megaphone. The crowd instantly sensed something was coming. He raised the megaphone slowly. I've seen rockets land themselves, he said. The stadium erupted before he could continue. But I've never seen anything like this. The roar grew louder. He pointed toward the stands. She's carrying an entire nation on her shoulders. So maybe today, he paused. She shouldn't carry it alone. Then he raised his fist. Laban. The response hit like an earthquake. Laban. 15,000 voices. Perfect unison. Perfect chaos. The sound echoed through Roland Garros and out into the streets of Paris. Alex Eala stood near the baseline, frozen for half a second. Not smiling. Not celebrating. Just staring into the crowd as emotion flickered across her face. Then she wiped her eyes quickly, stepped to the line, and fired an ace down the center. The stadium nearly collapsed from noise. By the time she closed out the first set 6-3, Court Philippe Chatrier no longer resembled a traditional tennis venue. It looked like a revolution wrapped in sports clothing. Phones lit up globally. Social media exploded. Clips of Musk handing out shirts spread across every platform imaginable. The hashtags multiplied faster than commentators could track them. Hashtag Laban, hashtag Musk for Eala, hashtag Eala effect, hashtag Roland Garros, hashtag AE celebrities reposted the footage. Athletes reacted live. News anchors interrupted regular programming to discuss what was happening in Paris. Even people who had never watched tennis before found themselves pulled into the spectacle. Because this wasn't just about forehands and rankings anymore. It was about identity, belonging, recognition. And somehow, against all logic, a billionaire handing out shirts had become the emotional center of one of the biggest sporting moments of the year. The second set became brutal. Her opponent fought back fiercely. Momentum swung repeatedly. Rallies stretched longer. The physical intensity increased. At times, Eala looked exhausted. At times, she looked unstoppable. The crowd rode every emotional wave with her. When she missed, they encouraged. When she won points, they exploded. When she fell behind briefly, the chants grew even louder, as if volume itself could protect her from collapse. Musk barely moved from his seat. He stopped checking his phone entirely. Several cameras caught him leaning forward with his hands clasped, fully locked into the match. And that detail fascinated people online almost as much as the shirts. Because Elon Musk never looked still. His public identity had become synonymous with motion, distraction, ambition, disruption. But here, watching Alex Eala fight on clay in Paris, he looked completely present. The second set slipped away 6-4. The match would go to a decider. And suddenly the tension inside Chatrier became unbearable. This is where sports mythology either survives or dies. The third set did not feel like tennis anymore. It felt like collective emotional survival. Every rally seemed connected to something beyond the court. Eala broke early. Her opponent broke back. The score tightened. The noise intensified. At 4-4, the atmosphere inside the stadium became almost impossible to describe. People stopped filming, stopped talking, stopped breathing normally. They simply watched. Because everyone present understood they were inside one of those rare moments sports occasionally produces. Moments that immediately feel permanent. Eala stepped to the line at 5-4 to serve for the match. Musk stood. The crowd stood. Her mother sat in the player box with clasped hands and tears already forming. Alex bounced the ball once, twice, 3 times. Same rhythm, same calm. The serve landed on the line. Ace, 15 love. Another serve. Unreturnable, 30 love. The stadium trembled. Her opponent managed to extend the next rally, but Eala crushed a forehand into the open court. 40 love. 3 match points. 3 swings away from the third round of Roland Garros. 3 points away from cementing herself permanently into tennis mythology. Silence swallowed the stadium. Not ordinary silence. Sacred silence. The kind created when thousands of people become afraid to interrupt history. Eala tossed the ball into the Paris sky. The serve landed wide. The return floated short. She stepped forward and unleashed a forehand down the line so violently clean that her opponent never moved. Game. Set. Match. Alex Eala. The roar that followed cannot truly be explained. It was too large for language. People screamed, cried, hugged strangers, waved flags wildly. Some fans collapsed into their seats sobbing. Others simply stared at the court in disbelief. And at the center of all of it, Alex Eala dropped to her knees on the clay of Court Philippe Chatria. The composure finally broke. Not from pressure, not from fear, from release. She covered her face with both hands as tears poured through her fingers. The cameras captured every second. The flags waving behind her. The black shirts filling the stadium. The richest man in the world standing motionless in the front row. And one 20-year-old Filipina crying on red clay while an entire crowd screamed her name into the Paris afternoon. Later, as she walked off court, Musk waited near the tunnel entrance. The cameras caught their conversation from a distance. "That," Musk said quietly, "was unbelievable." Eala laughed through tears. "I thought I was hallucinating when I saw you." He shook his head. "No. I came because movements matter." Then he pointed toward the crowd still chanting in the background. "And that," he smiled slightly, "that's not fandom anymore." Eala looked back toward the stadium. Toward the flags. Toward the noise. Toward the people who had crossed oceans to be there. And for a moment, she seemed to understand something fully for the first time. The Eala effect had grown beyond tennis. Beyond rankings. Beyond sponsorships. Beyond sport itself. It had become emotional infrastructure for millions of people who saw themselves reflected in her fight. That night, clips from the match surpassed 50 million views. The photo of Musk handing out shirts became one of the most shared sports images of the year. Television panels debated whether this represented the future of athlete influence. Marketing executives scrambled to understand what had just happened. And across the Philippines, families gathered around phones and televisions replaying the same moment repeatedly. Alex Eala falling to her knees while an entire stadium screamed, "Laban." Because deep down, everyone understood something important. The victory mattered. The ranking points mattered. The third round qualification mattered. But none of those things were the real story. The real story was connection. A 20-year-old from Manila had walked onto the most elegant court in tennis and somehow transformed it into a homecoming for people scattered across the world. And even Elon Musk, a man who had spent his life chasing impossible futures, had looked at that movement and recognized something powerful enough to stop and watch.